Thank you, Heather. And thank you all for joining us for our Strong Planning Teams equals Strong, Strong Walks webinar. My name is Lenny Blue. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist based out of Kansas City, Missouri. And today we have 4 individuals that will share some best practices they use in their role with their Crop Hunger Walk planning team. Also, we're going to have some live poll questions for you to answer throughout the webinar. And we'd like your participation in answering those, and we'll review each answer and as we go through our webinar. So we'll start with Heather, if you want to put up the first question. And I'll read it for those who don't have visual. Do you use, I'm sorry, how do you promote your walk? And it's a multiple choice, social media, TV, radio, newspaper, banners, and yard signs. So if everyone wants to place their answer in those now, and we'll review those answers as soon as we get a good percentage of everyone who answers them. So Heather, just whenever you have that, go ahead and pop that up. And if I knew how to run this, I would see those polls. Heather, can you help me with that? All right, I see it now. Sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
No worries. So looks like a big portion of people, 88% use social media. A few use TV, which is awesome. 17% at radio, 29% newspaper, and 38% use banners and yard signs. So it looks like a very strong showing of social media, which is awesome. And that's what all of your CESs really help to promote. So moving on, we're going to move into our speakers. So we're going to set up our next poll because our next topic is going to be on recruiting teams. Heather, if you want to pop up the next question. Question is, for those that can't see it, where do you recruit teams? Your options are church, civic groups, schools, businesses, and local agencies. Go ahead and plug in your answers there, and then we'll review those. Heather, when those are available, please go ahead and share that with us. It looks like a overwhelmingly lead is going to be church. So we are very well aware that that's where our highest numbers of participants and teams come from, is through church congregations, but also 32% with civic groups, 27% schools, businesses, and through the local agencies that are supported. Thank you, Heather. So on recruitment, we have a speaker today, Kevin Murphy. Kevin served on CWS staff for 28 years. He is active with his church, Leander United Methodist Church, just outside Austin, Texas. He participates in 2 crop hunger walks, the Austin Crop Hunger Walk, where he is the recruitment leader, and in his communities, Leander Cedar Park Crop Hunger Walk, where he serves as the congregation's team captain. So welcome, Kevin. Thank you for joining us. I will hand it over to you.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm going to jump right into this. I know we have other panelists and we want to have questions, so I'm going to jump right into to this and make sure we leave room for everybody. In terms of recruitment, and I'm going to be focusing on the Austin Crop Hunger Walk, our main focus, and then moving out from it, it's our team captains. We consider our team captains our all-stars in the walk. They're the all-stars of our recruitment and fundraising effort. So that's number one. And out of that, two things we really want to do. We want to communicate well, and we want to communicate often. Particularly since the pandemic, we operate under the rubric that we cannot over communicate. That will not be our mistake. Communicate often. And then the other thing is training, providing our team captains with information and skills that help them feel confident in doing their job in their local congregation or organization. And then a sidelight, if I get time, I'll speak to it, and that is that we try to avoid what I call visions of sugar plums. And if we get to it, I'll tell you what that's about. In terms of team captains are, the key link, the key interpreter of the walk's purpose and its goals inside their own congregation or organization. They're the key interpreter in terms of providing information to walkers and potential walkers and to donors. And so it's really crucial that they feel good and confident about the work that they're doing. Team captains in the Austin Walk also are often among our most effective fundraisers. And if they are not, we feel they have the potential to be among our most effective fundraisers, given the level of involvement they already have as a team captain. And so we want to communicate with them. We start early. So the Austin Walk is in early March. We begin our communications in August now. We're starting to communicate with team captains. The reason for our doing it now is next month we have a celebration of this year's walk. They'll hear about that, but they'll also get information, whatever information we have available about next year's walk, to get them thinking about that. So we start early and we build. We have a communication plan that we build, and each month we communicate at least twice with the team captains. September, October, November. When we get to December, we start to communicate more often. And we're communicating by the January leading to the walk date, we're communicating 2 or 3 times a week with the team captains, with information, giving them a push, reminding them about things, pointing them to information we think they need to know, trying to inspire them in terms of what their job is. So we do some of that. Our communications are via email, a lot via social media. An example of that with team captains is when we confirm a team captain, we'll use the Austin's Facebook page or to tag a local congregation or organization and say, hey, thank you. We just learned that John Jones is your team captain for the 2023 Austin Walk. We're so grateful for that. That affirms the team captain, and it also gets something on the congregation's page that says, hey, the walk is out there. We're planning for it. So we continue those communications leading up to the walk and beyond. In terms of training, providing tips for the team captains, sharing program links. CWS has great impact stories. The field staff can send you in that direction, providing links that we send to the team captains, fundraising tips, and we always say, please share this with your congregation or with your walkers. That's important because people are so busy that they may read something and go, this is great information, and not pass it on. Being told or asked, pass it on, really helps. We begin with our base. About 45 congregations are our base, about 40 in a year will participate, and we begin with them. In particular, we begin with our top 10 congregations. The top 10 Austin congregations raise over 50% of the Austin Walk total. It is worth spending time with those team captains and those congregations, and then we move out from there. Some TLC for new team captains. An example, we send out information to the team captains. In a day or two, follow up with a new team captain to say, anything in there you don't understand, anything you need more information on or help with. It really goes a long way in helping a new team captain do their job. And then recruiting new leadership. There's an online giving report for walks. I'm going to assume you know what that is. If you don't, you can talk to your field staff person. Often treasurers get that. We try to put that in the hands of the walk coordinator, other walk team members to look at that list, because in that list is often a gold mine of potential leadership for your walk. So make good use of your online giving reports. Business sponsors, the businesses that may provide donations for the expenses of the walk, if you don't already, invite them to the walk. Even if you don't feel comfortable asking them to walk and raise funds, invite them to the walk and recognize them. That's the way to begin to build a relationship that can wind up possibly with a deeper relationship and new walk leadership. And then just those visions of sugar plums. What that's about is, you've probably heard it. If that mega church in town just walked with us, we double our walk total, or we raise $10,000 more. Yes, maybe. But often it's difficult with a large church like that to get an inroad. We've decided not to spend a lot of time on that. However, at the grassroots, if there's someone that knows somebody in that congregation, invite that one person to walk. And if they say yes, and to walk with you, and if they say yes, ask them to invite some friends from an affinity group in their church, their Sunday school class, whatever, and invite them to walk in the walk. It may not be a formal representation of that church, but it's the beginning of building a relationship, because recruitment in the end is all about relationships and building and maintaining relationships. So I think I'm over my time, so I'll just stop there.
Thank you, Kevin, so much for sharing with us today. I do like that last tip. Start with one, start with someone, build a relationship, and then grow that relationship. That's a very great advice, great advice. Heather, do we have any questions that came up for Kevin?
We do have one question for Kevin. What about at community festivals? Have you heard of walks, doing any kind of recruiting at community festivals?
Yes, I have some experience. Again, I'm former staff with CWS. I used to do the work that the staff here are doing. And there are some walks that have gone to community festivals and had a table and things like that to make the walk visible and present and known. And in one instance, a walk in Canyon Lake, Texas, they had some success with that. I think any way, if you have the bandwidth, people power to staff things like that, I think it's a great thing. The balance, I think, is what what your bandwidth is. So to make sure that you're not losing focus on some of the things that absolutely need to be done. But yes, community festivals. Sometimes businesses have, you know, the employee festivals. Some are employee giving festivals. It's a little harder to get into that, but some have volunteer festivals, and you know, having a presence there is a great idea. Sure.
Kevin, there's just one more. If you could just
Mhm.
quickly let, they're wondering if you've had any success in inviting a super church member to any kind of a recruitment
Yes,
meeting.
in San Antonio, not in Austin, in San Antonio. I forget the name of the church. It is Max Lucado's church, and Max's church was participated in the walk for about 5 or 6 years, and it was because of it was someone on the committee who knew someone who was a member there, and did exactly what I said. They invited them to walk with them, and that person and their family walked in San Antonio, and then the next year their Sunday school class walked. So yes.
Okay, any further questions we'll get to at the end. Thank you, Kevin.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, Kevin. And Heather, thank you. Real quick, just wanted to let everyone know that Heather is posting up some of the resources in the chat. So as we go through, she'll post up links to some of our resources from our Crop Hunger Walk page. So be sure to check those out as well. So our next topic is sponsorship. Heather has a question that she'll put out for us, a poll question. And this question is, how much did your walk raise through business sponsorships? Your choices are $0 to $500, 501 to 1,000, 1,001 to 5,000, or 5,001 plus. So real quickly, we'll take some answers on that, and then we'll review those. And then we're obviously moving into business sponsorship topic. And here come our results. It looks like a large majority are getting 0 to 500, 63% there. 501 to 1,000, about 4%. We have about 15% of answers 1,001 to $5,000, and a nice number at 19% are getting 5,001 plus in sponsorship, business sponsorship dollars. So that's awesome. That leads us into our next speaker, Ted Lineback. As many times as I asked you to make sure I would pronounce that right, and I messed it up. So for the last 8 years, Ted has held the position of both treasurer and sponsorship chair for the Winston-Salem, Forsyth County Crop Hunger Walk in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And today we've asked him to share his best practices for his business sponsorship. So Ted, I'll let you go ahead and take over from here.
Thank you very much. Again, glad to be on the call. We are in a position here in Winston-Salem. Our sponsorship totals typically run about $10,000 a year, and that covers the cost of our walk. Our walks have probably maybe a higher than normal cost because we do provide T-shirts as needed for all of our walkers as part of the just as part of the walk. So we have to raise monies to go through that. One term that Kevin used when his talk was relationships, and that is so key in getting sponsorship money. We actually use 4 different levels: $250, $500, $1,000, or $2,000. We only have one that's at the $2,000 level, and that's our overall presenting sponsor for our walk. And we give them various levels of incentives at the various price points. Most notably, 500, 1,000, or 2,000, you get your logo on the back of the T-shirt. You get your logo on all of our promotional materials. Your logo is on our website under the sponsors. at $250 level, you get your name on the t-shirt, black letters, and that's fine with many. We roughly have about 20 to 21 different sponsors in our group. We have a couple that are anonymous, but most people want their name, and many of them obviously want their logos on the shirt. I find that the personal relationships are just so important. When I stepped into the role, there were obviously already sponsors in place from the prior years, but I didn't have any relationship with them. So I had to call them, introduce myself. Several of them have dropped off, but I have added personally several of them over the years. And I found that it just took a little effort on your part to say, gee, I tell the story. I was sitting in the church choir and looking at the congregation and go, oh, that person, they have a business. I bet you they'd sponsor us. Oh, that person, they have a business. I bet you they would sponsor us. So many of them are just developed through personal relationships that we have with various individuals, with various companies, people that you know, people on your team know. I worked for many years in the regional church organization. I'm used to fundraising. I'm used to asking people for money. I don't mind people telling me no. So it takes someone that's in the sponsorship role that to a certain degree has a thick skin and doesn't mind asking and doesn't mind being told no. There are, however, several of our sponsors that are corporate in nature that just renew every year, and it's truly an online proposition. I never really talk to anybody. Two of these are grocery store chains in our area where they just have an online portal. You have to dig a little bit to find them, but once you're in and develop the information that's needed, it's pretty much automatic that we get let's say a $500 support check from those chains. I find that, again, the detailed records, I keep copious notes in making my phone calls and making my initial contact with people every year, reintroducing myself, because in some of these cases, this may be the one time you only talk to them once a year. Often, I'm just getting to voicemail, but I follow up immediately with an email, just reminding them this is follow up on my voicemail. I'm hoping we can count on your support. I send them an invoice. If they are a $250 level sponsor, I try to upsell them. I'll send them 2 invoices, one for $250 and one for $500, in case they want to move up a level, and remind them if they do, that's great, and we'd love to get their logo on the back of it, on the back of the t-shirt. As I said, we like to start early, but not too early. Our walk is in the 3rd Sunday in October. We have a lunch and learn, as we call it a meeting of all our recruiters, and coming up here actually next week. So the end of August, we have to have our t-shirt off to the printer along about the 1st of August. So I'm looking to wrap up all my sponsor numbers by the end of July. So I'm generally starting out in early June, mid-June. There are a couple of our sponsors that, yes, have limits, and they say it's kind of first come, first served, and you might want to approach them earlier in the year. But I've kind of found that in recurring sponsorships, it's almost best to wait kind of toward the end than to start out too early, because they kind of, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. It doesn't give them a whole lot of time to think, and they can go through that in a fairly quick fashion. Also, obviously, follow-up is key. Once we get monies in, once we have people confirmed, our committee chair here in Winston-Salem is sending out thank you letters right away, thanking them for their sponsorship. And then once the walk is finally over, we always send them a subsequent follow-up letter thanking them and letting them know how much money we raised, and thanking them that their support allowed for 100% of our monies raised to go to hunger relief around the world and in our area. So And typically our monies that we raise, we do keep when COVID hit and we had virtual walks, or we had our limited in-person walk, we still had basically the same level of sponsorship money, and we didn't need it because we weren't doing a lot of the in-person stuff, and so we actually ended up funneling some of our sponsorship money actually into the results of the walk. But typically our $10,000 that we raise is what we need. If we do go over that, we will push some of that money off into the actual results of the walk. And so I guess that's about it for me.
That's great, Ted. Thank you so much for sharing with us. A couple of things I like to highlight that you spoke about. One was people at your church. Yeah, just like you said, as you're sitting there and you're looking around the congregation, it's like, oh, I know Tom over there and Bill over here owns this local business. And those are the people too that you want to promote as your local mom and pop shops or businesses, and just putting that word in their ear and making them think. One other thing was the upsell. You know, if they're continuously sponsoring your walk, ask them, you know, you can do a little bit more, and showing them the value and what they get for that. So,
and we do have a multi-page. In fact, I sent it to you, Lenny. We have a multi-page. I don't know if other people do this or not, but we have a multi-page brochure that we've just created out of Publisher that we can send electronically to a sponsor that might be interested. That gives them all the information they need, has the typical verbiage about the walk and why it is, but then also has all the levels and the options and what they get for their donations, and that's been very helpful. And again, having hard copies, we've kind of gotten away from that, so now virtually everything is done electronically. So, but it's an easy PDF or a Publisher document that's easy to email around to any potential thing, and we share it among our committee, so our committee members can also be out there, you know, working on the sponsorship team themselves.
Absolutely. So anyone listening, if you are interested in seeing what that, Ted, would you mind if we share that with others that would like to replicate something like
Sure.
that in their area?
That's fine.
Okay. Well, if anyone listening would like to see what that looks like, reach out to your local CES and let them know, and we'll make sure that connection gets made. On that topic as well, Heather is putting out our sponsorship informational sheets, links to that on our website, so watch for those. Heather, do we have any questions for Ted?
Yeah, actually, there are a couple. Well, one statement is dine-ins are popular, and they are very popular. A dine-in night. I have a walk doing one at Culver's. So Culver's leads into this next question. What corporate websites have you had success with? And what chains do you contact?
In our area, it has been most notably Publix, which is one that just moved into our area a couple years ago, and just called them. And then once we had talked to them initially, they said, oh, by the way, we don't do it through the corporate office. Go to this website. We're still trying to get money for this year from Food Lion. And I know, looking at some of the other ones in our region, we're seeing Lowe's.com and Harris Teeter, which are two other one's hardware and one's grocery store in our area.
And then the other question is, now, you know, if you just simply don't have personal connections to business owners, what is the best way to identify who to ask?
Well, it's interesting. A couple that we've added over the years, I've thought in terms of food related. So any kind of restaurant chain, what was one that we added, and just, you know, again, made a cold call. We have looked at brokerage firms, and we have looked at attorneys, law firms in the area. Another thing that I've thought about a lot, but I haven't really done it, is you see, we all get material in the mail of an event that's been sponsored by a whole host of people. And that to me is a ready source of potential. And again, it just takes a little elbow grease to get out there and follow up on them. But if you look at someone's got another walk or an event or some kind of fundraising activity and they are sponsored by, you'll see some of the same ones that sponsor us, but you also get some ideas of other people that might be out there that are willing to support community causes.
I've had quite a few walks successful with asking their dentists.
We actually have one that one of our members said, I've just spent enough money at the dentist office to pay for their donation. Here, call these people. And they sponsored us, and they also then had a walk team from the dentist office just because of that one person's relationship.
Excellent. Ted, thank you so much for joining us today, sharing your thoughts and best practices. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks.
So moving on, we're going to discuss, what am I going to discuss? Promotions. So we made a slight mistake early on. Our very first poll was actually supposed to be something different, and we ran the one that was going to be on promotions. So we saw that social media was a big promotional source for everyone. I'm just going to move right into our next speaker and introduce Renee. Renee, thank you so much for joining us. Renee has served as the publicity chair for the Midland Area Crop Hunger Walk in Midland, Michigan for the last 17 years. She told me that this year the Midland Area Crop Hunger Walk is celebrating their 50th anniversary, and they're excited to have some great festivities along with their walk on Sunday, October 2nd. She became involved with Crop Hunger Walk through her Kiwanis organization. She says the Crop Hunger Walk is a great community event, raising money locally for some of their food shelters and worldwide through CWS initiatives. So Renee, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm going to let you take over from here.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much for having me. I have been involved with our Crop Hunger Walk, like you said, for about 17 years, and this is a walk that's very close to my heart. I just feel a real passion for it and have participated for this long and probably will for quite a while. Our Crop Hunger Walk here in Midland is, I would consider, a very well-oiled machine. We have processes down pat. We have organizational meetings. We've got a great group of folks who volunteer and do all that. But my role as the publicity chair stems from not only contacting our local newspaper to try and get some media coverage, but this year we actually did create a Facebook page for our Crop Hunger Walk. We hadn't in the past, and so this has been a new initiative, and we're very excited about it. But we start all of our walk is in October, so it's coming up in another month or so, a little month and a half. And we start our planning process in March, usually, of every year. Where we all get together, talk about what it is we want to do, how we want to do it, what new things we can add to our calendar of events. And then we meet monthly to just kind of touch base with each other and see where things are going. Part of my responsibility as the publicity chair is not only to get the word out about the crop walk, but I also work with our chair and making sure that she has all the information that she needs. I develop and have created our logo every year for the last many, many years. And I also create all of our brochures that we use to send out to the walkers and to any of our friends. I also create like individual posters, or we customize sometimes some of the items that we get from Church World Service. So I work with our printers to try and get that covered, which has graciously been done for us over the past several years free of charge. So we consider them one of our friends, and we add their names to the back of our t-shirts. Unlike probably some of the other walks, we don't have varying levels of sponsorships. We just ask for $150. And if we get $150 sponsorship from our friends, then we put them on the back of our t-shirts. So I work with our person who handles all of our friends to ensure that they have all of the marketing materials that they need ahead of time. We have all of our t-shirts printed and ready to go. We also hand out t-shirts to any of our walkers who raise $150 or more. So each year when we create our logo and create our t-shirts with all of our friends on it, we look to see about how many t-shirts we think we're going to need for our walkers, and we keep that in mind. And we promote that heavily throughout all of our communications with our recruiters, our churches, which is where most of our recruiters are from, and also with the local agencies that we participate with. Locally, we participate with the Emergency Food Pantry Network, Open Door, which is a shelter, and the Salvation Army. So they are our local recipients of the funds that we raise. With all of that, this year is a very special year for us. It is our 50th anniversary. So we are celebrating rather largely this year and doing a little bit more than we have in the past. Typically, we just meet on our walk day, do a general communication to the group, and then kind of send them on their way. This year, we are putting together an event at the start of the walk where we are inviting families, the community, everybody to come down, participate. We're going to have different kinds of games available. We're going to have our recipients who receive the funds there with tables talking about what services they provide to the communities. We're going to have just all kinds of fun activities. We've got some cornhole boards. We've got a giant yard checkerboard, large Jenga games, and everything. We're kind of focusing it on the 70s since it's our 50th walk, which would take us back to 1972. And so we're doing some fun things like working with the Salvation Army, and they're going to have a table where kids can make pet rocks. So there's going to be a lot of fun. This will start about an hour and a half or so before the walk. We're going to have a DJ there with music. We are hoping to get our local, we have a single A affiliate baseball team here in Midland, the Great Lakes Loons, and we are hoping that we can get Louie Loon down to walk with us as well, or at least kick off the walk for us. One of the partnerships that we had this year was with the Great Lakes Loons. We were able to set up a table for a nonprofit night and display our walk there as well to kind of let people know who we are, what we're doing, get involved, how they can get involved, and just kind of hand out some fun things. It was very well received, and we were very excited with that. So a lot of the things, like I said, that I do is just really making sure that all of our marketing materials are prepared and ready to go. I do work with our local newspaper to try and get a story or two out ahead of time. This year, though, we have added our Facebook page, and we started 50 days before the actual walk, which was on August 14th, and we are giving a different highlight each day right up until the walk, either some history moments or thank yous or just things that we have done over the course of the 50 years to let people know. We are still kind of working on expanding that, and hopefully as years to come, we will have a great following there. But we did have our recruiters pick up last night, and so all of our team leaders picked up their information to get ready for the walk. We let them know about the Facebook page and all the extra activities. So we are hoping that on Sunday, October 2nd, we will have a great turnout, lots of folks there, and hopefully all the promotions that we've been doing and the communications that we have, not only through our team leaders, but through the local churches and just word of mouth will spread, and we have a great turnout. So that's kind of what I have. If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Renee, thank you so much. That's awesome. One of the things I'd like to highlight that you spoke about sounds like a lot of collaboration, different
Yes.
organizations, maybe some of them also nonprofits doing different things, and having them be present at your walk. And I think that's key, because you're tapping into, there are people that have donors as well. So you're collaborating, and you can tap into their donors as much as likewise you. So I think that's a great idea. Heather, do we have any questions that came in for Renee?
Let's see. Oh, how do you figure out how many t-shirts of each size? So what is the plan for your t-shirts?
We do this all based on kind of the history of what we have handed out in years previous. So for a while, we were doing some kid shirts sizes, and we just decided that just wasn't worth it. We figured that even young kids who do walk with their moms and dads could always work with an adult small. They can always use it as a sleep shirt and stuff. So we just do adult sizes now, but we really kind of gauge it on how many shirts were handed out the previous year, what we've ordered kind of over the last 2-3 years, and that is how we gauge it. Now this year we did bump it up a little bit, because we are hoping to have more involvement, more folks reaching that $150 goal, so that we can hand out more t-shirts. I'll kind of hold up. This is our logo for this year, so we're very excited about it. And then we do put all of our friends on the back who help us sponsor it. And Lenny had mentioned that I had joined this group as part of my Kawasi Kiwanis, and that was a service organization. They are one of our main sponsors too, because I recruit folks from my Kiwanis group to help us handle any registrations and things the day of the event. So they have been very important to us over the years. So, with t-shirts, it's kind of hard to say. We usually end up with a few extra, and then what we do is the following year we offer them for sale as a donation, so people can pick up a shirt if they want one and just donate to it, and then we use those funds to go towards the overall amount.
Oh, then that answers your second question. Do you do shirts every year? I'm guessing you do.
Yes, we do. We have done shirts every year. Like I said, one of my favorite things that I get to do is my experience is I am a marketer by trade, marketing and communications, and I've done a lot of graphic design over the years. So I have had fun designing our logos every year, and I work with our different folks on our committee we all come to a consensus of what it is we're looking for, and then I just kind of put it all together, and then we decide what color t-shirt we're going to do and what color inks and all that kind of stuff. But yes, we have done shirts every year. The one exception has been in 2020, with COVID breaking out and everything happening, we did a net gator that year with our logo on it. So, and those were very popular for that year too. So we really have enjoyed it. I keep joking, I'm going to get to 20 years and I'm going to make a blanket of all of my t-shirts. that I have from my crop walk, because I love them all. But yes, we do t-shirts every year, but it is only for people who raise $150 or more. Plus our friends, we do give all of our friends, our sponsors, they all get a t-shirt as well.
Right. Excellent. So yes, the quilt with the t-shirts is very popular. I know a couple of my walks that have taken past t-shirts and had one of their committee members make a quilt, and then they raffle that off or auction it off around walk time. So that's a very, very nice idea to use up old shirts as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, this year what we did too is because we had many shirts from our previous years. I made all of the t-shirts that we had left over into bags. So we are handing out bags, which are our old t-shirts, at the end of the walk to our walkers, which will have their little refreshments in it from the group. So it's going to be kind of a neat handout. We did hand out all of our materials to our team leaders in these shirt bags yesterday, and they were very well received. So we're pretty excited about that.
great idea for repurposing and using up those past t-shirts. So
Absolutely.
I get asked that all the time. What do we do with the old shirts if we don't use them all? Renee, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your best practices with us today as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a great rest of your day.
You too.
So moving on, we've heard some great ideas from some of our walk committee members. We're going to move into our next poll, and this is based around local agency. Do you have a local agency representative on your walk planning team? Yes or no? We ask this because as a CES, we always encourage our committees, our teams, planning teams to invite, ask, even require your local agencies that you support to have someone present, to have someone know what's going on and be a part of that planning team so they can, again, it goes back to collaboration, so they can collaborate with you. We're all finding donors, and if we can help each other out, that goes both ways, and that's where it works the best. So our answers on this, 63% say yes and 38% say no. Thank you for those, the poll and the answers there, Heather. Our next speaker is Ruth O'Neill, and Ruth is having some issues with camera today, so we're going to put a picture up while she speaks. Ruth, are you with us?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, Ruth has coordinated the Loaves and Fishes Soup Kitchen in Columbia, Missouri since 2008. They serve an evening meal 7 nights a week, 52 weeks per year, with the help of 24 volunteer groups and no paid staff. Ruth works as a hearing officer for the Missouri Department of Social Services as her day job, and she's been involved with the Columbia Crop Hunger Walk for over 15 years. I know Ruth personally, and she is just a delight to talk to. And Ruth, I'm going to let you go ahead and take over from here.
Okay, thank you, Lenny. Folks, I'm going to be I'll be trying to be a little bit brief because I know we've been on the phone for a while, and I appreciate all the great information I've gotten from everybody. This is wonderful. As Lenny said, we are one of the recipients of local funds for our Crop Hunger Walk in Columbia, Missouri. We've been involved for a long time. Loaves and Fishes has always, I'm pretty sure, has always been a recipient of crop funds. There were some years where we were the only recipient. However, we have added other people to our table, and we've been excited to welcome them. And we also this year, and have for several years now, also have 3 local church-based food pantries as part of not only the recipients of our local crop funds, but also members of our crop organizing team. Each of those food pantries provides services to folks on I think each of them are, actually there's two pantries and then one community meal. The two food pantries each operate 2 times a month. The community meal provides a community meal to several families in town once a month. And so they are also part of the work that we do and the organizing we do and the fun that we hopefully all will have on walk day. Our walk day this year is September 18th, so we're getting close. Lots of last minute things happening, and also, the culmination of a lot of things that have been going on. What I personally do as far as being on the walk team, the organizing team, is go to as many meetings as I can make it to, not all of them, sadly. I am administering the Facebook page. I have in the past, although this year won't be doing it, appeared on some promotional spots for a local radio / video program that's part of our local public radio station, a longtime host who promotes local events, and we typically join him twice every year to talk about crop, once in midsummer and then once like the week or so before the walk to remind everybody to come out and join us. So I have done that in the past sometimes as well. We do a variety of things. We're kind of always looking for new ideas to get more people involved because we are a university and college town. So there's a lot of stuff going on and we have a lot of competition for time and space and treasure throughout the town. We're interfaith. In addition to a number of local churches, we also have participation in Loaves and Fishes and also in Crop Walk from other faith organizations. Loaves and Fishes does have folks who serve the evening meal from the local Jewish community, the Buddhist community. We have had assistance from the Islamic Center and the Hindu community as well. The Hindu community is a big group that comes and supports our walk every year. They always bring a large contingent, and so they're very helpful to us as well. So we try to get out to as many people as we can. One of the things that I get asked a lot of times is, well, what do you do with the money? Because people like to know that. We do a lot of things with the money. The last few years with COVID, we've spent a lot more money than we wanted to on things that make it safe for us to continue to serve an evening meal every night. And we did not shut down during COVID. We've just kind of changed the way we did things. But part of that was to buy disposable meal serviceware. So paper plates and clamshells and plastic forks and those sorts of things are not very reusable, so that's taken up a lot of our funds. We're trying to get away from that now. We're trying to get closer and closer to going back to whatever our new normal will be and going back to actually using regular dishes when we can. Kind of depends on issues in the community. We also spend money on basics and staple food items. As Lenny said, we operate an all-volunteer program and we do it on a shoestring budget. We're able to do that because most of our groups are able to provide all or most of the food that they prepare and serve for our guests. However, we do keep a supply of staples, including things like pasta and rice and canned vegetables and non-perishable items and peanut butter and jelly and coffee and the things that go in coffee. So we do buy all of those things. We buy cleaning supplies. We buy cleaning agents to clean the kitchen, to clean the dishes, to run the dishwasher, and some maintenance things. We also operate out of the basement of one of the local Methodist churches. We give them a small stipend of appreciation. I used to call it rent, but then people realized that it wasn't very much money, so no, we call it something else. We give them some money every month to help defray the utilities. They're a big partner for us, and they do a lot of work with folks in the homeless and food and housing and secure community in town. This week we got a new grease trap for the soup kitchen, so we're going to use crop money for that. So that's exciting news for those of us who needed a grease trap, and the rest of you probably don't care. We are very excited that we're part of the planning team, and that all of the organizations that get funds participate in the planning team, because I think, for one thing, it makes us aware of both the larger pattern of efforts to combat hunger in our country and our world, but also to work together and know that we are not in this alone. We were, it's a great opportunity to be able to say, oh, I have all this stuff that somebody donated to me that we can't use, but can Russell Chapel Food Pantry use it? And a couple weeks ago, I took a bunch of stuff over there that we were not using, and they could certainly put to use and give out to everybody and get it taken into households where it could have a new life. So we're able to cooperate with one another that way as well. Walk day, we typically help with registration. Someone from each organization that's local makes a short couple minutes of, hey, this is what we do, and this is why we want your money. And then we often join the walk, either walking ourselves or putting up balloons or directional signs and that sort of thing. So we do what we can. And now I've kind of blown that whole thing about being short. So that's pretty much it.
That was perfect, Ruth. You brought up a couple things, and also I wanted to ask you a question. The first one is, so you mentioned that you handle the social media, the Facebook page for your local walk. Is that correct?
Yes, mostly me.
Okay.
I have a little, but yes.
Yeah. So that is very relevant to a lot of our listeners here, because number one, we often get asked, well, where do I find a social media person? Where do I find a person to do this? Again, you have, as a crop planning committee, you have a list of people that are available to you through your local agency that you support, and just make that ask and find that someone can be a part of that and use the skills that are there in front of us that can be provided through those. And then my question, I guess, is going to be, so being part of Loaves and Fishes, you guys receive donations from individual donors, I would gather, from the community?
Yes.
And do you think that some of those people are also involved in the Crop Hunger Walk and donate to that as well?
Some of them are, yes.
Yeah. So again, we're all looking for donors and from the same communities and everything. And it just solidifies the idea and the fact that being involved and having someone from the committee represented, or I'm sorry, from the agency represented on the community is a great idea to follow. Heather, do we have any questions for Ruth? Heather, are you still with us? Maybe not. So
Lenny?
Ruth, thank you. Yes, there you are.
I'm not sure where Heather went, but I'm not seeing any questions right now for
Okay.
Ruth. There's other people that are thanking Ruth and all the other speakers for their time, and have also just reiterated that the local agencies are great to help with social media and emailing for support.
Yes, thank you all for attending. Thank you for all of our speakers for sharing your best practices and ideas with the community. I think we're going to go ahead and finish up the webinar today. Thank you all so much. If you have any questions on these, feel free to reach out to your community engagement specialist, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.